In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your map sensor on your Mazda 3. It's located on the front of the engine. Before starting this job, make sure you get your AC evacuated by a professional. This vehicle is missing a lot of parts and pieces. I'm going to do my best to show you how to remove what you probably have on your vehicle. There should be a cover to start out, so you want to take it out of these tabs by pushing in and disconnecting it and taking it off. After you're done doing that, you're going to disconnect this negative battery terminal. This vehicle also has aftermarket speaker wire, so disregard that. Remove your negative battery terminal. I use the 10mm wrench. Now you can remove your positive terminal using a 10mm again. And just set that off to the side. At this point, this vehicle is missing its hold down. You're going to use a 10mm socket and take off the bar that looks like sort of like a bow tie here, which ours is missing. And there's a bolt on this side, or a nut on this side, and a nut on this side. Using a 10mm socket, you're going to remove those. From there, we can take the battery out. I'm not worried about the speaker wire because our radio is missing, which is also aftermarket. Using a 10mm socket, in our case we're using a 3/8 that I hammered on because it's so rusty. You're gonna take out this bolt and this one over here. All right, you're probably going to be using the same size, 10mm. I'm using a 9 because I had to hammer it on. So after you remove this bolt, this one, we're going to go to this one. Using a 10mm socket and an extension. I'm going to take that out. At this point, you're going to take your airbox off. We undid our hose clamp here and took off the aftermarket stuff. You guys should have some sort of a box lid. You're going to take that off and then set that off to the side and then pull this out. There's rubber grommets that you got to yank on to pull out. I'll show that to you. There's one here and one here, so you yank really hard and this will come out. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to get this nut off the stud. Now we're going to take this off the stud. That's going to be holding your electrical stuff for the PCM. And we're going to take this cover off. It has a couple of tabs here that you're just going to push in here and then pull it off. We're going to flip up this white connector like that, using a flathead screwdriver, and then we're going to disconnect these connectors. Now we're going to gently move these harnesses aside. I'm going to unsnap this, which mine is already unsnapped, but if yours is not, you're going to take it out of this area and just set it to the side. You are going to have to disconnect this grommet here that's in the bottom of the battery case. You're going to use a trim tool and take that out. Now we can pull this out. Make sure your harnesses are all away. I'm just going to leave this here because our plastic is pretty brittle and I don't want to break all of that. take off your coolant reservoir cap. All right, I'm going to use a 10mm socket to take out this bolt. This is definitely aftermarket. You might have an 8mm socket bolt. And there's one more here. Ours is a push pin. Yours will be a bolt. Ours is broken. The actual shield above is broken, so there's nothing to attach it to. All right, now we're going to use a 10mm socket to remove these two bolts. Again, you may have an 8mm socket. Just make sure you have a good hand on it so it doesn't fall. And you can remove your splash shield. Using an 8mm socket, we're going to take out these bolts. There are 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. After you take out those bolts, you can take your push pin out in the center here. Using a flathead screwdriver, pop the center out, and the rest will come out. And then you can drop down your splash shield. I'm going to use a Phillips. Remove your drain plug. All right, now we can shut this. Disconnect this wire and your main harness from the fan. Pull the main harness, disconnect it, and put that off to the side. Remove your hose clamp. I'm using an 8mm socket for that hose clamp. And now we're going to take off this hose. To take the top hose off, you're going to pry and wiggle it off. Make sure you have a drip pan below to catch any fluid. And now you can set that aside as well. Using a 1/4" socket, I'm going to take off this upper hose going to the reservoir. I'm going to take this off the bracket. And put it off to the side. Remove your harness bracket. You're going to pull back on this underneath on this tab. You can also use a screwdriver like this. Put it in and pull up with the screwdriver to pull the tab down, and then you release it. Go to the next one. Do the same. This one on the end, you're going to pull up and out. And that's just going to give you a little bit of wiggle room when you're moving your radiator. Using an 8mm socket, we're going to take off this hose clamp for the lower hose. Make sure you have a coolant bucket below. All right, just let that hang out down there. We have to take out these mounts for the radiator. So you're going to squeeze in these 3 tabs and use a screwdriver to pry it up. Just one on each side. And now let's do it on this side. Again, all 3 squeeze. Pry it up. You're going to slide a flathead screwdriver up and push in on that tab as you push here with your thumb. And then you're going to unsnap it. And now we're going to do the same on this side. Now you're going to unhook it from this tab here. You're going to pull that up and out on both sides. Now you can drop the fan down and take it out. Now you're going to pry up your radiator and take out this rubber grommet. Do the same on the other side. After you take this mount out of this corner on the driver's side, you're going to get a pry bar, put it underneath the condenser, squeeze this tab on the radiator. All right, so you're going to push this in and then push the condenser up. You're going to pull the radiator forward towards the engine up top and then push the condenser up. Once you get that far, you're going to get this corner out, the bottom corner of the radiator. So keep pulling down on that upper radiator hose. Poke it up here. Through and let that fall. Push the tab on the other side and release the condenser from the radiator. Make sure you have a drip bucket below in case there's any residual coolant coming out. You're going to pry up on this side and pull it out. At this point, we can drop the radiator out as soon as it's done dripping. You may have to unhook the condenser from the top on the other side before your radiator will come out. And then it should come out pretty easily. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to take our lines off our condenser. Set that bolt off to the side and do the other one. Once you remove the bolts, you can remove your lines. You might have to twist them a little bit. Once you remove the lines, you can drop it below or take it out of the top. I'm going to drop mine below. Disconnect your connector using a flathead screwdriver and pulling away at the harness. Put that off to the side. Using a T20 socket, I'm going to take this bolt out. Remove your bolt and Gently pull it away. Make sure you apply some silicone paste on your O-ring and insert it. Once it's in, you can start your bolt by hand. Next, you're gonna tighten the bolt down. And plug in your connector. Feed the condenser lines first, going up. And then shimmy it over. And rest it on the back. Now you're gonna go up top. Remove your plug. Make sure you lubricate your O-ring with some PAG oil. And you can place it in the line, start your bolt. So you can remove your other plug, put some PAG oil on this O-ring. If it's damaged, replace it. And place it on the line. And get this bolt started as well. Tighten these down and then torque to 80 inch-pounds. We're gonna start on the passenger side, going up. Same way we took it out. You're gonna feed it up in there. At this point, you're going to want to check to see how far off you are from the condenser and hooking it into the radiator. You're going to tilt the radiator out on the top, kick in the bottom into the mounts. Once you're there, you're going to go on the other side where the grill is so that you can see where your slide clips are. And you're going to hook the condenser onto the radiator. Now you're going to pick up the condenser. And you're going to hook it into the radiator bracket tabs. On the driver's side first, and then you're going to come over to the passenger side. Line it up and try to get both tabs in at the same time. Once you have the condenser locked in, you're going to push on the bottom part of the radiator and get it in its mounts. And then push in on the top. Slide your fan up and over the hose, where the hose goes on the radiator, and then on the other side, and then lock it in here and here, and make sure you're locked in on the top as well. There's two hooks. Once you're lined up, snap it in. Put your lower hose on. Put your hose on and your hose clamp. Make sure it's secure and tight. Put your upper hose on. Once you get your hose on, you're going to tighten your clamp. All right, once that's tight, you're going to move on to your connector. Connect your connector here and also here. Make sure you hear the click, and then you can slide it back into its housing. Make sure you have your mount facing, it says F and an arrow going to the front. Just make sure you have it facing that way. Line up the top of the radiator with the mount. Right up to push in on it, and then snap it into place. Put your reservoir hose on and tighten it up. We're going to connect our bracket for the harness back where it goes by just pushing it on. Line it up, snap it in, and this last one hooks in on the top. There we go. Make sure you put your reservoir hose back in the clip, and then pick this one up as well and put it in that one. So now we're going to reinstall our battery box. Make sure that the holes line up. You got one here, here, and here. Now we're going to put our bolts in. Your wiring harnesses back in place. Press them down. And lock it in place, and then do the same on the other one. Put the bracket back on the stud, like that, and put the nut on. Now snug that up. Now line up your side bracket here. Ours is a little broken, so we're going to make it work. Now we're going to put our airbox back, at least the bottom half of it. Push it into the grommets. Now put the top of your airbox on and connect your connector. Place your battery in. Put your positive terminal on first. Make sure it's all the way down. Tighten it up. Do the same on the negative. Snug it up. Make sure it doesn't move. Now you can place your bow tie hold down and tighten these two nuts with a 10mm socket. And then put your battery tray cover back on. Now you can put your cover back on. snap it into place. All right, to install your splash shield, you're going to lift it up and line up your holes with where they live and tuck in your sides to hold it up for you. If it does. I'm going to start with my push pin here. In the center. And that'll help me hold it up. All right, so we're going to start putting our bolts in. Going over to the next, just follow the splash shield and it will lead you to the next bolt hole. And then moving right along, follow it along the edge and you will find the rest of where they go. Don't over tighten these, they are plastic fasteners underneath where the bolt goes through. All right, so we're going to put our splash shield up and line it up. It goes above this shield on the side. And then there is, that slides into that. And there's one on the other side that slides into this side. That'll help hold it up for you. And I'm going to start with my back corners here. The ones closest to the back of the car. Make sure that you put your splash shield above this little corner here. You may have an 8mm socket bolt for that side, but we're using a 10. All right, so our shield above on the side is broken, so we have nothing to attach this to. I don't think we're going to need anything there with all the other fasteners, so I'm going to leave that be. Now let's go to the other side. And now let's do this one. All right, so your middle bolt first will help hold the rest up. All right, and now I'm going to put my bolt in here. We had a grommet here, a plastic grommet. I'm sure you have a bolt. Ours is broken. The splash shield and the radiator bracket is broken, so we're using a push pin. Do your best. If you also have missing parts, you can make do with other things. Make sure you use the proper coolant, whatever the manufacturer recommends. You're going to fill your coolant up to the max line. Let it run for a while. Let it get hot. Put your heat on inside the vehicle. Once it gets hot and the thermostat opens, it's going to suck in all the coolant. And you're going to let it run for a little longer. Top it off. Once you know it's done bleeding, You're gonna put your cap on, tighten it up all the way. Now that you have your condenser in, you can get your system recharged.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.